Hey folks, Jesse with Southern Rills Fishing, and today I'm continuing to work on my 2019 Outback. And what we're doing today is we're going to mount a new fish finder on it. Basically what I decided to go with on this model, since it has the new transducer plate that retracts, is the Helix 5 SI G2. I owned one of these previously on my Pro Angler. It was the first generation version, and I loved it. Unfortunately, it did get flooded out after a couple years of use when I flipped my kayak. My fault, but nothing bad to say about this unit. I was going to do a Lawrence, but for this 5-inch unit, I honestly think this Humminbird model is actually spec'd out a little bit better. Now it is $100 more than the 5-inch model that Lawrence offers, but this one has chirp frequency spread on down scan and side scan imaging, which it is spec'd out a little bit better. So anyway, that's why I decided to go with this one. And as far as powering the unit, I'm going to be using a Aqua 10 amp hour self-contained lithium battery. Now these things are awesome. I've got one in my other kayak that I use, and it lasts pretty much all day. This is the actual battery right here in a little Velcro case. It's got the wire that comes out of it. Comes with its own little charger, basically that plugs right in the wall. Completely waterproof, self-contained, lightweight. This thing weighs like 1.5 pounds. It's unbelievable. Love these things, and according to the amp draw on this, which is 650 milliamps, and this is a 10 amp hour, so if you do the math, it should last you approximately 17 hours on the water. So definitely enough to get through a day of fishing. Anyway, let's get to it. All right, folks, I got the Outback flipped over upside down on a nice little table here. It's good working height. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and remove the factory plate. This is pretty much straight how it comes when you get the kayak brand new. I haven't done anything to it yet. First thing you got to do is remove the entire assembly. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And do that by taking the 3 outer bolts off, and the whole plate will pretty much lift right off like so. And we're going to take it over to the bench and disassemble it. We got it over here on the bench. I'm gonna go ahead and just drop those 3 mounting screws out. Let them lay right there. We'll go ahead and pop these other 2 screws out right here. And what that does is remove this little plate, which is where the transducer shield plate will go, is in place of this. Save our screws, set them to the side. All right, and you notice from the factory it's a fixed mount. If you were going with, say, a regular sonar system that doesn't have side scan that would mount in here, you could just pretty much mount right on these tabs, put it back in, you're good to go. But since we're doing side scan, we have to set up the retractable function of it. And to do that, basically you have to remove these 6 screws here that secure the plate and make it rigid. So we'll do that real quick. All right, folks, so now that that's loose, as you can see, folks, it has its basic retractable function now, to where it's on the bungees is actually what's holding it. So all right, that step's complete. All right, now that we got that plate here set up, I just wanted to show you the breakdown of the actual Humminbird kit. Pretty much we have the unit unpacked here. We have the mounting accessories that come with the Humminbird kit. This is the arm that actually mounts the unit and the hardware that goes with that. We won't be using the mounting bolts because we're actually going to be mounting this to a ram mount style setup for going on the kayak. Got your power cable here for the power of the unit. Of course, your transducer here and its cable. And pretty much this here is the items that came with the Hobie kayak itself. This is the transducer shield, which will go in this place here and basically offers you protection for your transducer that's hanging down. And also the mounting accessories that Hobie sends, you know, as far as mounting a sonar system on your kayak. So now what we got to do is kind of look at it, study it, and determine the best way to mount this setup. And that's what I'm going to do now. So, all right, folks. So I took some time and kind of studied the layout of what I had here as far as accessories. And I'm not going to use any of the mounting stuff that comes with the Humminbird kit. It's just not really applicable to what we're doing right here. I do have these adapters here that I got from Hobie years ago. This adapts basically their mounting system over to a Humminbird setup, because like I said, I had one of these units prior in my old Pro Angler. So luckily I still have these. And what these do is basically slip right into this area right here like so. And then the rounded portion of it is going to mount the actual sonar unit like that, pretty much. So thankfully I still have those. So now basically what I have to do is kind of mock it up figure out where the transducer is going to be sitting, then I actually have to trace out this plate and cut this. That way the transducer will be able to fit down through the hole, basically down here. That way the side scan will work, because side scan will not shoot through a kayak hole. I don't care what anybody tells you. So basically I'm gonna set all of that up right now. All right, folks, I mocked it up and I got it traced out. As you can see, that's the area that I have to cut right here. Basically drill a couple holes, take my trusty little air saw, and just cut this out real quick to clear the transducer. Basically just gonna start by drilling a hole in each corner. I'll pretty much just take my little air saw and cut it out. You can do this with a Dremel or jigsaw, handsaw, whatever you have available. All right, there, so we got that all cut out. Now we're just gonna go ahead and mount the transducer. And this is a pretty much straightforward process. Just take the transducer, set it in place. Go ahead and take these two arms. These are the adapters once again. Hook them onto the transducer like so. Got these little splines they fit in that hold it lined up. And we go ahead and just slide it into the little towers they have here, I guess they would be called. And check and make sure that we clear and that the transducer actually sticks down below the kayak like so. Which we're looking good. Now what I did have to do, pull this back out real quick to show you here. If you notice there's these little tabs that stick off each side. It used to stick off this other side the same way, and basically what I did is cut that tab there off. That way this will slide down as far as it can in this area here, which allows the transducer to be down as far as it can. Just wanted to show you that. All right, once we get that in place, I'm gonna take these little mounting brackets that it comes with and slide right through the mounting hole, like so. Basically, that's what we got right there, the little mounting brackets. And as you see, the transducer is down below the hole, sufficient enough that the side scan will work. And then we're gonna take the other bolt that comes with the Humminbird, slide it through the other side of the mount right here, like so. Basically where it's like that, and go ahead and tighten it up. All right, folks, there you go. It's mounted, sitting nice and pretty down below the plate. That's gonna be sitting basically in the hole like so. Now what I'm gonna do is install this little piece right here. It's actually a little guard that slips up into this area here. That way if you hit something, this actually forces this plate, this entire plate down like that to protect the sonar. It's actually designed for a Lawrence transducer. Yep, see? So if anything comes along, it's gonna hit this first and push this plate down, protect that transducer. We're ready to put this back on the kayak now. All right, folks, now here we are back at the kayak. It's time to mount the plate. First thing you gotta do is orient this pull cable here. This is what actually runs to the front of the kayak for retracting the plate down into, or up into the hole, I should say. All right, we got the wire all fed down in there. And basically this plate is just gonna mount at this point and you'll be done. But what you gotta do is actually tie the string to this loop right here, because this is what pulls and retracts this entire plate. So I just pretty much lay it into the opening like so. Pull as much slack out as you can and just tie a couple overhand knots. Then you just kind of flip it over. Make sure where you tied it is actually in the center of the loop. That way when it pulls both sides up evenly. All right, we got it centered pretty good. That's pretty much it. Now I just throw the mounting bolts back in. Grab a screwdriver and tighten them up by hand. There you go, it's mounted. Works, ready to go. Now for the top work. All right, folks, I went ahead and got the kayak flipped back over and kind of got everything set up for the next part, which is pretty much pulling the wires through the hole and actually getting them out of the waterproof fittings to where they need to be in the hole and also to the unit itself. I went ahead and just kind of mocked it up here, kind of roundabout where I'm going to have it, so I know how much wire roughly to pull out. And the next step is to pretty much start taking these waterproof fittings out and prepare basically for passing the wires through them. I went ahead and selected the proper size grommets that come, with the kayak for the actual wire sizes. That way to kind of just speed up this whole process. So I'm pretty much going to start with the one down here first for the transducer. Go ahead and take the 3 screws that secure it out, pop it right out. And I'm going to use the back hole basically for passing the wire through. So you just remove the solid grommet, one of the 3 that are in it, basically, set it to the side. All right, once you get the fitting out, you got to go ahead and pass the wire through the opening, but be sure to remember to also pass it through the gasket that goes on the grommet on the 3-way plug assembly. Alrighty. Then we'll take the grommet that I selected earlier. It's got the right size opening for this gauge of wire. Go ahead and slip it around the wire. and then put the three-way fitting onto the grommet, and then line the gasket back up. Take your time to make sure you get this all lined up properly, because if you don't, this will create a massive leak. This is a low point on the hole right here, so you definitely want this one to be correct. And then go ahead and put the screws back in. All right, there we go. That one is squared away. Now we pretty much will come up here to this waterproof fitting here. Go ahead and remove it. Also remove the gasket from that one, that way you're sure to pass the wires through it. I'll go ahead and feed all this excess wire back into the hole for the transducer. And you kind of just gotta reach in up underneath the hole, grab the wire, kind of bring some of it through and just lay it to the side. And at the same time, you want to go ahead, take the wire, the power, go ahead and pass that through the opening as well. Just let these lay to the side. Pull roughly what you would need out of the opening to be able to hook to the unit. Give yourself a little bit of slack, and go ahead and plug them in just so it'll stay. You can kind of always pull these through later or push them through later if you need to adjust how it sits. All right, I've got both of the wires through the hole. Now I'm gonna go ahead and slip the gasket for the fitting over them. So that's there. And once again, we'll take one of the solid grommets out of the fitting. Go ahead and take the one that we selected. I'm using the one with the double. That way they're both coming out of the same opening. Put the three-way plug back onto the grommet with the two wires passed through it. Go ahead and reposition the actual three-way plug and put the screws back in. I'm just gonna run these in by hand because the screws are very easy to strip out. All right, folks, there you go. The next thing after this is actually hooking up your power supply wherever you may have it mounted in the kayak. In mine, I chose to mount it in the back, and I'll show you that next. All right, now to do the power supply. Like I mentioned before, I'm using the Naqua 10 amp hour battery pack. Since I have the circular hatch area here in the back of my kayak that I installed previously, I'm gonna use this to store my battery in, basically. I took one of the drop-in tackle buckets that comes with the older kayaks, and went ahead and took a utility knife and just carved out part of the tray sections here. And this battery actually fits right into that area. Nice and pretty. You just take this excess case and just shove it right in there like that. And I made a little passage for the wire to come through. So this will sit right down in this opening here. Just as pretty. And I can actually shut the hatch and everything and keep this up and dry. And it also has room if for any reason later on I wanted to add a second one of these batteries in. There's room right here next to it to do that as well. I could even keep the actual charger for the battery right in this little pocket right here. That way I have everything right with me and there's no chance that I forget and leave anything at home. So I've got this ready to go. Pretty much the battery comes with this power plug right here that's got to be wired into the one for the sonar system. Now the cable for the sonar isn't quite long enough to reach back here. So I have it sitting on top here. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is make this wiring connection right here. And that'll make it long enough to where I can actually get it up here to my actual battery. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. And Naqua, they were kind enough to provide 2 crimp connectors basically here, and also a piece of heat shrink, which is really nice. Pretty basic, you just strip the wires, crimp them. I do recommend using dielectric grease inside the crimp connector just to protect the connections in case water does get in there. So we're just gonna go ahead and strip these bad boys. A lot of times I like to take the wire and actually double it up. It just helps you get a lot better connection on the crimp. Basically just strip it twice as long as you would need it and then fold it back. That way it's pretty much doubled up in the connector. All right, so now I'm basically gonna take these crimp connectors right here, dielectric grease, and just basically squeeze some into it, each side. It's a little messy, but it's worth it as far as protecting the connection. That was good. I'm going to connect it to the actual sonar unit here, which is this wire. Almost forgot, got to put the heat shrink on. Whew, all right, there we go. That was kind of a pain. All right, we got those straight and connected. As you see, now we're going to take a heat gun and basically shrink the heat wrap. So I'm just going to leave all that excess electric grease that's squeezed out of those right on there. Pretty much just slide the big piece of heat shrink right over top of it and then heat that to shrink it. All right, folks, there you go. That connection's made. Now we just got to fish it through the hole. All right, folks, I just fished the power wire from the front to the back of the kayak, and I got it back here by my little custom-made battery holder. Pretty much all there is to it now is just to make the connection here, shove the excess wire down into this little pocket, like so, and then shut this. It's a done deal. All right, folks, that's pretty much all there is to that. We got the Humminbird sonar all hooked up. Really, the only thing that's left is, just gathering up the excess wire from the transducer that's inside of the hole and, bunching it up and securing it up underneath here somewhere safely. And just figuring out how you want the unit itself positioned once you get out on the water and stuff. And then adjusting, your wires. You can easily push these in and out of the grommet to get the amount of free wire that you need to do what you want once you're out on the water. We'll go ahead and bundle these together with some electrical tape, just to keep them nice and tight once I figure out the positioning, final positioning of the unit. But pretty much it. Humminbird G2 side scan Helix 5 unit mounted and ready to go. Thanks for watching. Peace.